Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I say call hello, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakah, Kodash. Send double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Send much peace, love, and salutations to y'all came out there pushing the word of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariala. And what you're going to see on this one is I want to go over Revelation chapter 16, verse 13, about the three unclean spirits. I had previously uploaded a video that kind of went into more of the kind of the institutional bodies that function that give power unto the dragon and the beast and the false prophet and how they work and how they use witchcraft and all these different institutions to accomplish their goals, you know. But I want to make sure that we're breaking this thing down properly. So I want to go into this verse itself and bring more clarity. And then what you'll see is me re-upload the original video to kind of bring everything home. So when you read here, Revelation chapter 16, verse 13, it says, "And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of the God Almighty." Now, going into the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. When you look at the dragon, what is this talking about? All right, out of the mouth of the dragon is talking about Rome. All right, it's talking about ancient Rome, but it's also talking about America. Why do we know that? Because we know that basically America is the reinvigoration of Rome. It's the reincarnation of that Roman spirit and body, and it talks about that when you go into the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter. When you go into Revelation 13 and 3, it says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast." So that deadly wound being healed is basically that Renaissance period, that time that Rome came back again and rose back up into its power structure, into its power seat. All right. All right. And so what's a functioning institution that allows that to go out when it came back? When you go and you read in Revelation the 17th chapter, it talks about, let's see, read Revelation 17 and 8. It says, "The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit," right? Talking about Europe, "and go into perdition, and they that dwell on earth shall wonder," there goes wonder again, "whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is." Now, this is that entity coming back into that power structure and then finally going into perdition. All right. Verse 9, it says, "And here is the mind which have wisdom. The seven heads or seven mountains on which the woman sitteth," all right, these seven kingdoms, "and these are seven kings, five are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come." Okay? "And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth." That eighth is that America coming out of where? Right? Britain, because it says, "and is of the seventh, and goeth into perdition." Now, when you go into Daniel, it talks about basically that time where America is rising up and they're having these wars over in the over here against. You have the French Indian Wars, you have the Spanish American War, you had the American Revolution. All right, so this is the American colonies coming out of Great Britain. Well, when you study those wars had to be financed. And basically, it was the Rothschild family financing all these wars. All right, that was happening between the United States and Britain and the French and the British and all of these things that was going on, even over there in Europe. And they were enriching themselves, and basically all these nations have capitulated to basically be ran out of the by the Rothschild families, banking families out of London. London became this huge financial hub for the Rothschilds, And even the Rothschilds, when you go and read some of their quotes, one of their quotes is, "Give me control over a nation's currency, and I care not who makes its laws." Murray Rothschild said that, right? Or maybe Nathan Rothschild it's alleged. But the reason why I'm bringing that out is when you look there into the kind of like the city states, which my video goes into, it speaks to this financial backing system that comes out of London, Great Britain, England, all right, leading into America, which is this dragon going back to this Roman power. That's why they use all the Roman law, the Senate, all right. Even in science and mathematics, it's all Latin. In the courts, in the court system, it's all Latin. It's all conjuring up Rome, and they also follow the. When you look at the calendar and you look at the months, they go back to Roman idol worship. All right. In the school systems, you have to learn Western heritage, which goes back to the Greco-Roman period. So that's the mouth of the dragon. All right. The dragon is Rome / America / kind of like this financial system coming out of London, right? That's setting up everything and controlling all its laws and making everybody basically follow this Roman legislature and way. All right, but it's the finances that stamp it down. That's why the Rothschild said that. Then it says, out of the mouth of the beast. The beast is talking about NATO and it's all its conglomerates, as far as NATO, EU, and its power structure to control the world. We go into that, all right? Because who runs NATO, basically, and I talk about this in the video, is America. And what are they running out of? They're running out of D.C. Pentagon is where you have its military sit. And when you look at Washington, D.C., and how it's set up, it's completely done in Freemasonry witchcraft, man. The spirit of devils working miracles, man. All right? And this is what's heading up this beast structure, all right, going all about the earth, taking natural resources, taking down governments, setting up puppet governments, okay, leading all the way into Armageddon, which is the actual title for this section of the chapter, all right. So just to get that clear, when we talk about DC, it's linked with the beast system, but that's NATO, the whole military construct and structure. It's just that in DC, it's just an institutional body that works these things to make it go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world. Okay? And then the false prophet, that's where you see the Roman Catholic Church, all right, working in spiritual wickedness. And then they also run things all across the world too, with their secret groups and religious groups and cults out of the Vatican. And the Vatican, when you type in Vatican City conspiracies, you'll be there all day, reading about all the different things that they got running out of the Vatican, and how it's demonically set up, just like DC and even London, the Egyptian obelisks, how the Roman Catholic Church is real heavy into witchcraft in the ancient pagan customs. All right. And so I just wanted, so when you see that, you might see the city states is talking about that, but get to make sure you have the proper understanding, that we all have the proper understanding. The dragon being that Roman system, American system that rebirthed out of it. The beast, NATO, all right, EU, NATO, that whole conglomerate, and then the false prophet being the Roman Catholic Church. All right. And so I wanted to preface that, put this at the forefront of the video, and then you'll see the rest of this video clip in. All right, shalom. Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash. It's a double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you brothers out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, sincerity and truth. Sorry, Allah. This is another quick response. I wanted to go over the 3 unclean spirits. It's mentioned here in Elder Yahshua Wamba's video, Why Do the Heathen Rage? Just want to touch on it and go over that briefly, and just for brothers' notes. So we're just going to touch on that real quick, okay? I'm going to play this clip.
Here, all right? Which it could be an Edomite looks like an Edomite, but at the end of the day, the Lord uses even people that are heathen to bring out certain truths, man. But it all works for the benefit of the elect.
Prophecy. And so here it is. There's the first unveiling. They tried to do it in New York City first. Well, what's in New York City? Well, the United Nations, ground zero, another economic capital of the world. If not number one, it's number two. I mean, right there with London. So they opened in London. They kind of stilled the waters back in America. Then they redid the headline. And they said, the Palmyra Ark.
See, that's those unclean. We got to get it now. We have to get it. See? He just brought out 2 of the unclean frogs. The UN, Washington, D.C. Hold up. This is the book of Revelation 16 and 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast and out of the mouth of the false prophet, man. Okay, the Washington, D.C., the military power, okay, the Vatican, the spiritual power, okay, and these are all city-states, all right? And then you have London, the financial power, all right? For they are devils working, for they are the spirit of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world to gather them together, all right, of that great day of the Almighty. Okay, so all of this wickedness, all right, is going to lead to Armageddon.
Boom. Now, so when you go into that, you can go and type this in here. The 3, like the elder said, these are the 3 city-states. When you look at it, Vatican City is the spiritual head. Okay, this is where you have the seat of the Roman Catholic Church and all the witchcrafts and whoredoms that be coming out of there. Okay, and so when you look into Roman Catholic, we always talk about that word Catholicism. When you go and look at that word Catholic, right? It says of the doctrines of the ancient church, literally meaning universally accepted, universal, right? So when you look into that, it's a Roman Catholic, right? Universal Roman. This church or this figurehead or this position in the Vatican City is a spiritual symbol of one of the unclean spirits. And when you look into Catholicism, it's filled with what? Witchcraft, idol worship. It's mingled with all types of ancient enchantments and basically magic. All right. Now, we always talk about the example, like so many figures and things that you see inside the Catholic Church basically go into all the whole pantheon, all the types of different gods that go back all the way back to Sumeria. All right. Even that the Pope's hat goes back to what? Dagon. All right. A fish god. And when you look into all of the holidays that have been incorporated into modern Christianity and Catholicism, it's just a mixture of all types of ancient idol worship. From Baphomet to Ishtar, when you want to talk about Easter. All right. All of these holidays, which have been linked to the church. All right. This is why they're universal. All right. So this is one of the parts of the city states. Now, when you go to the Vatican and you look at the setup, it's filled with, Masonic, satanic emblems and basically structures. Okay, they got Egyptian obelisks all over around the place. All right, I'm gonna play a little bit of this.
It's well known that the obelisk is not from here, and it is much older than the city itself. Who made it, and why? Where and when was it first erected? Historians don't have any credible answers. That being said, the known facts surrounding the history of this remarkable monument create an amazing and puzzling picture. St. Peter's Square in Rome is architectured in a very intricate way. The main axis of the square's oval is oriented precisely to the compass points. This fact is supported by the colossal marble straight cross. The main crossbar of the cross is oriented.
And you can see that it's really going into sun worship. Okay?
Oriented north-south, and the minor one in the east-west direction. The straight cross has been overlaid by an additional oblique cross. For a long time, the hidden principles of its geometry were not clear, but now they have been established quite reliably. They are clearly linked to the trajectory of the sun across the sky. A tall needle of a granite obelisk is set at the
Boom. So they have Egyptian obelisks sitting in it, and you have these same obelisks in Washington, D.C. and in London. Okay? So this is what all of this stuff is going into, man. I think might play a little bit of this.
Obelisk. The obelisk is an architectural feature that originated in the Old Kingdom of Egypt around 2300 BC. It is a tall, four-sided, narrow-tapering monument which ends in a pyramid-like shape or pyramidion at the top. Originally, they were called tikenu by their builders, the ancient Egyptians. The Egyptians would embellish all four sides of the...
So, you know, if this church was all about who the world calls Jesus Christ and worshiping the Heavenly Father, why would they be erecting these obelisks and Egyptian pagan structures? Why would they even allow that? It's because it's one of the tiers of those unclean spirits that the elder was reading about there in Revelation, the 16th chapter. This is what they are, man. And people drink it down, okay? And they push out their doctrine, right? All the nations have drank it down, all right? Nahum 3:1 says, "Woe to the bloody city is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip, the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts." All right? And here at the Vatican is one of those places where these whoredoms and witchcrafts are pushed out. Okay? When you go into the book of Revelation 18, it talks about how the nations drank down this wine. Revelation 18:3, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication," talking about Babylon the Great. "And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through her the abundance of her delicacies." All right? So, you know, I just wanted to go into that one tier. The next tier, when you look at it, is Washington, D.C. is another city-state. What do you have in Washington, D.C.? You have the capital of the United States, but then you also have the Pentagon, because the United States is the leader of the military arm of NATO. All right? The power that made miracles in the earth, going around shooting missiles, destroying everything. Okay? All right? We read about that in what? Revelation, the 13th chapter. But when you look at D.C. itself, its whole city and structure is similar to the Vatican, established by Freemason work, obelisks and pyramids all over the place. And when you look at the structure of D.C. itself, man, it's satanic. I'm going to play this.
Street layout, except perhaps the
You can see the pentagon shapes, man. You know, you can go into that. You'll see these type of symbols. Why? Because they're unclean spirits. They're conjuring up satanic energy.
Washington, D.C., as seen by Worldview 2, 480 miles above the Earth. From ground level, there's nothing unusual about the capital's street layout, except perhaps the frequent occurrence of circles, like Logan and DuPont, and diagonal roads, like Pennsylvania Avenue, cutting across an otherwise rectangular street grid. But glimpsed from above, curious patterns begin to appear.
Washington is laid out in geometric patterns. You can discern squares and triangles.
Many modern cities are laid out according to a pattern. But mostly that pattern will be made up of rectangular blocks with roads running at 90-degree angles. When a pattern does deviate, it's normally to accommodate some kink or feature in the landscape. DC is different. There is no obvious reason for this strange layout of circles and streets. So what was in the minds of the men who designed the Capitol Street Plan back in 1791?
George Washington, our original president, commissioned Charles L'Enfant to make the design for Washington, D.C.
Pierre-Charles L'Enfant was a French architect and civil engineer. It was he who designed the strange layout, the diagonal avenues, the major intersections or circles. But it was George Washington who had final approval.
See that? So they had, and everybody knows Washington was a Mason, a Freemason. All of these guys that go back to these ancient Illuministic cults that they worship Satan, okay, and all other types of idols. All right.
Researcher and author Akram Elias thinks there's a clue in a painting of the city's foundation.
Take a look at this painting depicting George Washington laying the cornerstone of the United States Capitol on September 18, 1793.
In this and in other official portraits of the event, George Washington and the other senior figures are all wearing the full regalia of the Order of Freemasons.
Both George Washington and Pierre-Charles L'Enfant were Freemasons.
President Washington was a top-ranking Mason, and the history, secrets, and codes of the Masons are embodied in the symbols commonly associated with the order. The pentagram, or blazing star, represents to Masons the shining light of God as seen by Moses when he is given the Ten Commandments. Its southernmost point is touching the White House.
And you see what we know what it really goes back to. Really goes back to satanic devil Satan worship, man. This is Esau. This is who's ruling the world. All right. Even when you look at the Pentagon from an aerial view, they have these same symbols and they're pushing out these same spirits. All right. This is the well-favored harlot. Witchcrafts all over the place. Okay. This is what they do. This is what they are doing. Okay. So that's the second part of the unclean spirits. I just wanted to kind of bring that out. Okay. What's the third one that the elder was talking about? The city of London. This is the financial arm. Okay. This is where you had these top level banking families kind of establish themselves. We talk about the Rothschild family. All right. The Rothschild banking family. When you look at the financial and corporate entities that make the world go round, these families are the ones that's pretty much behind it. All right. And this forms what they call the Roman power pyramid. All right. Connecting these three entities, these spirits go about and they are able to operate and maneuver how the earth is moved. And out of DC, they can go and bomb whoever they want. This is why when you look at the American defense budget, it just eclipses everyone else. Okay? It absolutely eclipses everyone else, man. United States defense budget. compared to other countries. This is that. Boom. See if somebody just had. See. See. Says these charts. See if it's gonna make me have to. Yeah. Hold on. See if I can find one that doesn't make me have to. Bear with me. U.S. military spending versus the other top countries. All right. On visual capitalists. All right. Check this out. United States military spending. Military spending in the top 10 countries climbed to 1.8 trillion in 2020, breaking historical records. Now look at the United States compared to everybody else, man. So when you look at the United States and then you have the other EU and NATO nations, America out of Washington is the head of that military branch, is the leader, and it's not even close. All right, by far. So you see that whenever you look at these three city-states. Now let's talk about London briefly. I just want to pull this up just for the brothers' information. You go into the Rothschild banking family. Now you can type this Rothschild banking family and it's going to have all types of videos. But I'm just going to play this clip here that's going to give a brief breakdown of them and showing you how out of London you had London as a financial epicenter, and then basically out of there is how you got the United States set up.
Families of the Jews. Experience with money lending, and by extension anything relating to finance, was passed down generations, and the Rothschilds were no exception. They specialized in exchanging currencies and trading collectible coins, and the best one of them all was Meyer Rothschild. He took up the family business in 1763, and his extensive collection of coins attracted the wealthiest aristocrats in the Holy Roman Empire. Among them was Crown Prince Wilhelm of Hesse. The prince met Meyer in 1769 and quickly learned to trust him with all matters relating not just to collectible coins, but anything financial. When Wilhelm came into power as Wilhelm IX of Hesse in 1785, he hired Meyer to manage his finances as his Hofjude, or court Jew.
Boom.
Now,
and so they were setting themselves up as the money lenders all across the world, and they've been doing this for centuries. And we can get the scripture real quick because it's on my mind. We'll pull it real quick. Proverbs 22. Proverbs 22 and 7 says, "The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." Okay? So through the means of usury, through the means of putting everybody in debt, like it talks about in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. We can get that. The Rothschild family was able to get control over the nations, okay? Let's see what this says in NLT. All right, Habakkuk 2 and 5. Wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed up many people. But soon their captors will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, "What sorrow awaits you, thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You've become rich by extortion. How much longer can this go on?" Okay, so we see that's how they set this up. Let me go ahead and play the rest.
Keep in mind, this was a common arrangement in Central Europe. The nobility would outsource their finances to Jews in exchange for protection, money, and sometimes even actual noble titles. Meyer oversaw the taxes collected in Wilhelm's lands and had to keep his money safe, a task that became very difficult in 1806. That is the year when Napoleon invaded Hesse, driving Wilhelm into exile and putting his fortune at risk. But Meyer was smart, and he was ready for Napoleon. In 1798, he had sent one of his 5 sons, Nathan Rothschild, to London to start a currency business similar to his father's. With this foundation in place, Meyer had no trouble moving Wilhelm's fortune to London, where he then loaned it out to the British Crown. In essence, Wilhelm was funding the British to fight Napoleon in order to restore his power. Now Meyer died in 1812, leaving Wilhelm's fortune and the Rothschild legacy in the hands of Nathan. He remained in London, while his eldest brother took over the original Frankfurt business. Meanwhile, the 3 remaining brothers scattered throughout Europe, establishing branches in important European capitals. Despite the distance, the brothers applied a unified strategy. They would loan out their money to the aristocracy and to local governments.
See that? So they basically created a money laundering cartel, and the largest of it was in London.
The brother in France, for example, became the banker of Leopold I of Belgium, while the one in Vienna would lend money to the last Holy Roman Emperor, Francis II. In 1818, he would grant all 5 brothers the noble title of Baron, finally elevating the Rothschilds to nobility. Throughout the next decades, whenever a European government collapsed and was replaced, it was the Rothschilds who were first in line to provide loans. That's exactly what happened after the French
And they still doing that to this very day, all right? You have these different nations that'll be financially collapsed, and you'll have basically the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and other conglomerate banking systems that are run by these elite families. They'll swoop in and give a bailout loan, okay?
Revolution of 1830 or after the fall of the Holy Roman Empire. The loaning business was immensely successful. The Paris branch, for example, grew from the equivalent of $5 million in 1820 to over $500 million in 1850. In essence, the 5 Rothschild banking families back then provided the same service that the International Monetary Fund provides today.
There you go.
They stabilized major currencies and provided loans to governments, doing both at a great profit. Of course, throughout the 19th century, the 5 branches also made many private investments beyond their government loans. In 1868, they purchased one of the most valuable wine estates in France. In 1875, they acquired a minority stake in the Suez Canal from Egypt, while in 1883, they funded the development of the first major oil well in the Old World, challenging the Rockefeller monopoly in America. They also became majority shareholders in the diamond monopoly of De Beers and in Rio Tinto, one of the world's largest mining companies. But during the 20th century, the newer generations of the 5 Rothschild families made fewer and fewer successful moves. In 1900, the branch in Naples actually became extinct when the last mayor died.
And they just moved their money. That's all they did. They just moved their money. Okay? But you can go and watch that. But basically, this Rothschild family, they've been able to set themselves up with a key center point being the city of London, being a financial epicenter, which obviously you're going to see it branch out to other places. But these 3 tiers form this Roman power pyramid, so to speak, all right? So I just wanted to touch in on that and bring a little bit more context to it. Lord willing, that was edifying. For any of you brothers have more information, please post it into the chat. Baba Kusha. With that being said, I want to say, Kahala, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Kudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you. I'm out there pushing the word of Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shah, and sincerity and truth. And if you haven't watched this video from Elder Yashawamba, it's excellent. Why do the heathen rage? Remnant Save 144. Go ahead and check that out and take notes. Shalom.